President Biden is calling for unity within his own party as it looks ahead to next year's crucial midterm elections. His remarks at the Democratic National Committee's fall meeting over the weekend come on the heels of a disappointing September jobs report. And on Capitol Hill, clashes between moderates and progressives have also intensified over the president's massive social spending bill. CBS News White House reporter Bo Erickson is joining us now to talk about all of this. Bo, let us start with this. Democrats are still wrangling over their infrastructure and social spending bills. Top negotiators say that there isn't a timeline to get it passed, only that it's imperative to get it done. How long does the White House think the president has, though, to sign the bill before, the fighting over this starts to define his efforts?
Well, I think we're already at that period right now as we saw those polls from Anthony. But there is some sense that the end of this month is the new timeline for the Democratic Party that gives Speaker Pelosi and Capitol Hill Leader Schumer and, of course, President Biden an extra month from their past deadline, which was at the end of September, to kind of get their party all together there. There is acknowledgement that there is a lot of focus on just that top line price from the general public, because we've seen President Biden hit the road this past week, go to the Midwest, talking about these very specific and very large ideas, changes that would really be really change the foundation of the social safety net in this country. Those are ideas of like expanded Medicare coverage for dental, eye, and ear, also more paid family leave as well, and also lowering the prescription drugs costs. And those are very big ideas, and that is very hard to fit into a poll. And so that is a lot. That is some of the issues, too, is that we talk about this large sticker price here. There are Democrats that are very worried about that price. And so while we have some talking about sticker price, the White House behind me definitely wants to talk about more of those tangibles of what Americans would get if this legislation passes altogether.
I mean, what are the consequences, though, of this sort of protracted arguing and maybe, whatever ends up passing if it doesn't look like what the president promises? I mean, could this have an impact on the president's approval ratings?
I think definitely. Simply put, popular presidents get things done. When there is a popular president and their approval ratings are higher, they can really cajole their different wings of the Democratic Party to say, I'm the popular president, you are coming with me on this, I'm not going to go to your wants. There are a couple other things at play here with this approval rating as well. There's also fighting within the Democratic Party over what the president should do on immigration, also how he should address things like filibuster reform, as we have the Supreme Court rearing up here to address very key issues. And lastly, we also are still having that fallout from the president in Afghanistan, his decisions that he has made there. This has made some members of his own party throw the barbs right at him. And so if there's some thinking here and there's some belief that if this social spending bill and also the infrastructure bill passes, that these bills would buoy the president's support and maybe raise that number up just a little bit.
So you brought up something, the whole issue of the filibuster. And we know that for the very long time, the president did not seem receptive to any sort of modifying of the filibuster rule. But, a couple weeks ago, he sort of indicated that he was open to perhaps some changes. We already know that Republicans have said that they will not vote to extend the government's borrowing authority again when this comes up at the beginning of December. They allowed for a temporary sort of spending measure, and that's it. So the fight is going to resume in December, right before the holidays. And, Republicans are basically saying, if you want to do it, Democrats, you're going to do it on your own. Could we see this conversation, this argument about filibuster reform pop back up again?
Yeah, happy holidays. This is going to be a battle when it gets to December. The president has always been very cautious talking about filibuster reform. I was actually very surprised when he said that a couple weeks ago, as you mentioned, that there would be this maybe more targeted approach to filibuster reform, dealing specifically with something like the debt ceiling or specifically like something like voting rights. The president's strongest allies have even said that they agree with going on filibuster reform for voting rights. But I don't think we're going to hear much from President Biden on this point. point because it draws back to that infrastructure and social spending bill. The number one person who is anti-filibuster reform is Senator Joe Manchin. And just at the end of last week, when he was asked about this, he says the filibuster is the only thread that we have to keep democracy alive in America. And so with that hard line coming from Joe Manchin, I do not think you're going to hear much from this Joe in the White House about this.
All right. Bo Erickson, thank you so much, Bo.
Thank you.